Hey, I'm Stephen Tocher, and I'm going to start streaming a lot more. I've been watching a lot of videos lately on the impact of streaming and going unedited, and I just want people to get to know me a little bit better as time goes on. I am moving into this life coaching realm. I've been doing uh, life coaching and just mentoring and discipleship for the past 20 years. And, I think from time to time I'm going to share about addiction and problems. I'm going to have focus driven streams, but then I'm going to have streams where I kind of just talk about life and or rant about things. And one of the things I'm going to rant a little bit about today was the pickup and drop off at my daughter's school. And just working in schools over the past, I'd say, 10 years now. It's been one of those things where I've seen a lot of people just treat their kids terribly. Hey, Babu, what's up, brother? As I was just telling the chat here, I think I'm going to be streaming a lot more, maybe even 3, 4, 5 times a week. I just feel like I want to connect more with y'all, and I have some time in the evening. Keeps me out of trouble, as we've talked about addiction a lot over the past few years, and or sorry, few years, few weeks now. And I just want to keep on building the community here, and I think it's one of the best ways to do that. So, Babu, thank you so much for being here tonight. So tonight I want to talk about drivers around school. I went in. It was a great morning. Took my daughter to school, and it's the usual. Everyone's kind of rushing in. I get that, but it was a rainy day, and people are just like zombies. They're just like driving in. There's almost no emotion. They're kind of dragging their kids into school, and I get it. I'm a first time school dad. What do I know? But it really does disturb me to see the reckless driving of people. Like, I live in Toronto, so I see reckless driving all the time. I might even start throwing up some dash cam footage of people driving on the emergency lane, people, even flashing, weapons, and pretty sure they're either drunk or high on the road. Everyone's just so, high strung and just crazy for the most part. And I don't mean crazy in the derogatory sense. I mean, like, literally people are like foaming at the mouth and just yelling at each other and screaming at each other. And I get it. The city is really compact. The city of Toronto was probably only built for 3 or 4 million people in the GTA before they expand, and now we're at about 8, 9 million people in the GTA. So we didn't expect the amount of weather change. We didn't expect, for the weather getting a lot better. I think Toronto has the best weather in all of Canada overall, with the fluctuation and the least amount of snowstorms or really hot blazing days, forest fires, things of that nature. So Toronto is just one of those places where everyone kind of want to flocks to. It's a harbor city. It has film festivals and so on and so forth. But the traffic is getting outrageous. It is absolutely nuts. So I'm at the school and I'm dropping off my daughter, and on my way out, like people are holding their babies and walking into traffic. Parents are like again trying to get to their jobs, and they're acting like straight up zombies. It was pretty crazy, to be honest with you. So I'm just usually like I try my best at all times to be focused on the road, but even now more so, like I even pray as I'm just about to get ready to leave, because pulling into school is not so bad. Like, I take a back street, I come in, I want to spend a few extra minutes with my daughter. We either pray, we walk in together, and we just talk a little bit about the day, or we'll skip together, things of that nature. But on the way out, it just seems like everyone is like, and everyone's pretty cool going in for the most part. But it's like the parents are like booking it to work, and I get it. It alludes to the amount of stress that people are going through on a consistent basis. And Babu, if you can, if you don't mind, as you're in the chat here now, I'm trying this mic here right now. Is the mic working better than the last streams? I'm also doing a 16:9 format. I'm in my kitchen area this time. So if you could give me a shout as I test this out more and more. So yeah, overall, I felt this, this extra awareness to be relaxed when I left today, and people were just not looking where they were going. And then again, this dad popped out with his like 1 year old on his arm, and like he's like walking towards me with aggression as I'm driving, and I was like, okay, obviously Yeah, you sound deeper. Okay, wonderful. I'm glad I'm getting some good usage out of this mic. I think the camera I was using before and the onboard mic wasn't the greatest. I've been just trying to get better and better as time goes on. Thank you, Babu, again for being here. So yeah, it was pretty nutty, like to see this, this like father holding his baby, walking at me, and just like, pretty much he was wearing some jogging pants, and his pants just kind of like almost cleaned my car. They were just like kind of waving along the side of my car, so I came to pretty much a complete stop. And I've noticed this a few times, but like people are on their phones, they're darting in out of traffic. And I gotta tell you, like I am legitimately using all of the fruits of the spirit in me to just kind of get through. I've seen people texting while they're driving in these tight streets. And what's really scary is kids can pop out at any given time. And it just makes me aware of how driven people are by their finances, by the stresses of life, the housing market, just or even I hate to say this, but the lack of care for other human beings as a whole. It really does grieve my heart, and I leave my precious little bundle of joy at this school, and I'm hoping and praying that no one has a mental breakdown, and you see these types of things happening in schools and in public places all the time. So I get a little bit leery, but that's when I have to trust the Lord and trust that God is in control, and that I'm I'm doing the right thing by leaving her in school. But it was just so nuts. Like, I don't know if y'all have ever experienced that or not. Just driving in a place or being in traffic, and just people just being belligerent, not caring that they're moving around in these, you know, in reality, these massive steel, like bullets. They could murder someone at any time, especially kids darting in and out, getting out of, their seats. There's just this overarching lack of care for kids as a whole, and I do attribute it to the amount of stresses. Yeah, it's like a GTA. Yeah, 100%. Toronto is like basically GTA. It really is. Um, People are, and don't get me wrong, the pedestrians. That's a great point actually you brought up, Babu. The pedestrians in the city are like NPCs, to be honest with you. They're walking around bumping into things, they're holding their phones, they're kind of like, oh, I've got to go change my direction. And then they're off, walking in a different way. So it's come to my attention that I have to be not only extra aware in these situations, but I also have to be more vigilant about praying for people. And there was this one dad, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, and he is driving. He rips into a driveway, and then he does like the longest 3 point turn and just looks through everyone as he's making everyone wait because he needs to get somewhere. And with that lack of courtesy, it, it, it gives me great distraught as well, because these are the parents that I'm sending. So these are the parents that are sending their kids to school. And I know not everyone is always like this, and I know when you get behind the wheel, things can be a little bit different when you're driving. But man, it's scary to think that my daughter is going to this school with these kids that are being raised this way. I've even just seen some of the fathers, and parents in general, but mainly the fathers, like the few and far between that actually are really, quote unquote, there with their kids consistently, just cussing their kids out, um, or just not spending much time or attention with them. So I think that's something that's been, just jarring in my mind. And I think, how can I change that? And so I had a really interesting day overall, in which I was able to talk to some new people at work, and new, just men in general, about their lives and problems they're facing. And it gave me that extra perspective that at one point or another, all of these people were little kids. And when they were little kids, they were growing up, they saw their parents doing all kinds of crazy stuff as well. Like, just because the culture has changed, and just because the maybe lack of awareness has changed, doesn't mean that there weren't a heck of a lot of problems that were going on, in other decades. And so a lot of these parents are the byproduct of other neglective parents. So I'm just, processing that, and like I was telling the chat earlier, I'm gonna try to start making videos maybe 3-4 times a week around 10 o'clock in the evenings, just about day-to-day life, about men's health. And if anyone has any questions or thoughts, that's the long term of where I want to take this channel, is as much streaming as possible, to get to the bottom of why people, especially men, why we're like this, why we're so crazy behind the wheel of our vehicles, why we don't connect with each other, why we don't know how to cry and deal with our emotions, why we don't know how to, go to the gym and lift, or, take on a martial art, or, work with our hands. There's so many different layers and elements to manhood that are here to explore. And I've gone through a heck of a lot over the years. And one of those things that is close to my heart, because I've done it so much, is driving in the way people interact with each other. And I was just stunned again to see how people were treating each other as they either dropped their kids off to school or picked them up from school, and maybe the lack of care that they have for the whole unit of schools in general. Hey, Untapped Potential. Have you ever been in a road rage incident? Absolutely. Now, if you take me back 20 years ago, I've had situations where people have mean mugged me, I've mean mugged them, but it was a little different, because you weren't afraid of someone pulling out a weapon on you all the time, or just a gun like that, right? So I had a situation where these two guys were giving me a hard time, and I'm a big dude. I used to be over 300 pounds. I'm like 6'2", 6'3", like 192, 193 centimeters, somewhere in there. And they were just cutting me off, and I almost got into an accident as they cut me off into a one lane. And they pulled up beside me, they were laughing and, just like revving their engine, being ridiculous. And my young, hot-headed self, I stood up and got out of the car. And, when I stood up, they realized how big I was, because I was driving a smaller car, and they sped off. I don't know if they were high or whatever they were. It's not a proud moment at all, pleased moment at all. If anything, it was a proudful moment, because I was being an idiot, essentially. Have I seen some crazy road rage? Yeah, as well. Like, not from myself and, us interacting with each other. But like, I remember this one guy, I came alongside him, and I got close to his car because there was like road work on the side, and he unwound his window, and like, he was like fuming, and he's like, unwind your window, get out of the car. And he wanted to fight me. And again, like, he was like 20 years older than me. Maybe he knew martial arts, I don't know. But yeah, he was livid. I had this one Mustang, I remember in particular. I was in like a fancy neighborhood, and I guess I'll show you like this here. I was taking the right-hand turn, and the left-hand turn, you go a little wider in. So this is the 2 lanes over here, and this is the 2 lanes going this way and that way. I was taking the lane here, he was taking the lane here, and there was a lane in between. And so I took my lane, but he wanted to go all 3 lanes. And I was like, I looked at him like, what are you doing? You're gonna kill me. I have the right of way. I'm taking the right-hand turn. And in his convertible, I'll never forget his face. He horked and he spit all over my windshield. So yeah, I've seen guys get out of cars and fighting each other, punching each other's like windshield, which is one of the stupidest things you can do. You're gonna end up hurting your hand. And I've been in like, I'm just trying to, not be blameless here or whatever, right? But I've been in situations where I have taken it to high speeds. That's one of the things that I haven't talked about recently. Is I used to really struggle with being a bit of an adrenaline junkie. Like, I used to BMX back in the day. I used to love to be in my buddies' fast cars. The fastest I've ever gone in a vehicle, I think, is about 260 or 270 for an extended period of time. Actually, maybe even 310. My buddy had a Sonoma truck, and it had, I think, about 400 and something horsepower, and he gunned it in an open area, and we were going, like you couldn't see stuff. And I've been in like Ferraris, I've been in different vehicles over the years. Like I've never owned any of these things, but I've just always loved speed. So anyway, to make a long story short, yes, Untapped Potential, I have been on the road rage side of things where I've been angry at people for almost killing me or cutting me off severely and not caring. Because that's the thing about driving as well. It's scary because you could kill somebody. It's not like you're in a shopping line and someone cuts you off with their cart, right? Like this is, you're going like 120, 110, 120 kilometers an hour on the highway for the most part, and like, or there's like a truck, and if you don't make the turn you're supposed to make, you're a smashed potato, right? So, yeah, definitely. I've been in road rage. I've seen road rage. I've acted poorly as well, and that's something that I am working on. So, I'm definitely someone who's not going to come across as a person who's never screwed up or failed in that way. But yeah, appreciate the comment and the question. I really want to start just talking more. I'm so glad that the two of you found me tonight. I really appreciate that. I'm kind of just trying to do this more and more so that I can become more and more fluid. I help people out one-on-one where there's no cameras, there's no nothing running, and I just feel like this is a wonderful platform in which, if I do it really consistently, I'm gonna have some great conversations with yourselves, and hopefully more and more people open up. The long range as well is to, start doing some semi-private classes, at a cost in the future, as obviously time costs. These streams I would never charge anything. Maybe I'd have a members only in the future. However, I really just want to be as accessible as possible to as many men as possible, and become as comfortable as possible on the camera. And since you guys are kind of a part of this journey with me, I'll say that another goal of mine is to be able to get a phone number, or like not even a phone number. What am I saying? Getting like a Microsoft Teams chat started at some point in the future, so I can get even call-in conversations. I don't know if you all would be interested in something like that, but it's something that's been on my mind as I've had some really amazing conversations with y'all over the past month and a half or so, and really feeling a lot more comfortable doing this. I've seen a lot of driving instances and road rage, and it just, again, it goes back to, you're dropping off your kid and you're acting this way. You could be running over someone else's child. You really gotta, be in a real state of trauma or hurt or brokenness, or just, not caring. Because, man, it's awful to see people acting that way. I remember this one lady was like putting on her makeup as she was pulling out. There was another lady who took the curb when she was driving. This other guy just like parked right in front of the police officer that was there that day. We've had some pretty high profile people come by our school, because we're not rich per se, but we live in a fairly rich neighborhood. So there's some high profile people that are around sometimes. So you might see like not paparazzi, but you might see like someone dropping off someone and someone's taking pictures of them, like a professional person. I don't know if it's like for a personal website or whatever it might be, or if they're a streamer themselves, and I don't even know that they're doing that. So yeah, I was just wanted to jump on quick, tell you all the story about the father holding his baby, walking at me like I'm supposed to be off the road, and him and his pants are supposed to be on the road. It was quite something. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow, but that's one of the things I think I would like to talk about in more in future is, just how sad it is that parents seem to treat their kids like they're a secondary, like they're just like not even a trophy, but they're just something they have to do, like an extension of their body, not really like as a human being, and love them Tell the father to join the stream next time you see him. Yeah, you know, that's something that I often even think about. Like I'm streaming, and by God's grace, I'm streaming to some lovely people, not a lot of people right now. Um, and maybe one day someone will see this. My goal is to hopefully pray for them, conversate with them, bring them to a better understanding of who God is through my actions. So, even though that was a pretty crazy thing to do, he might have been just sleepy. And I want to take the body of work. So, one of the things that you'll hear me say in the future, if y'all will come on the streams in the future, is that I don't give first impressions, I give 10 first impressions. Now, granted, if I show up and someone's standing on top of someone else and they're just pounding them on the pavement and there's teeth everywhere, you know, that first impression might be good enough. But a lot of the times you don't know where people are at. And on the as much as it could be on the negative side, it could be also be on the flip of the positive side. You could have a situation where you meet someone maybe at work, and the first one or two times they're just so nice, but it could be because maybe they just won a small lottery pot, or they just came off vacation, and then those next 6 or 7 times they don't act very nice to you, and you start to see a real trend. And I found that as I've gotten older over the years, that there's more and more people who pretend or act a certain way to get that first impression to be deliverable, so that it like, oh, like look at me, I'm this way, I act this way, when in reality, they're just covering it up, and vice versa too, right? There's some people who are again going through some really horrible times, and they don't even know you, and they would like to apologize, but they're either nervous or scared to, or they just don't want to bring it up again, or they're just embarrassed to death that they acted that way. I actually have a friend who was at his first day of work today, and when he was there was someone who kind of was giving him a bit of a glare, and maybe that person wasn't even looking at him, they were looking past him, and he glared them back, and then he caught himself and he's like, what am I doing? So he had messaged me to say that he was sorry for that, and now he has to rebuild that bridge, and he hopes that maybe the person didn't see him, or wasn't even thinking about that. Maybe they were caught daydreaming or something like that. So yeah, anyway, just a quick stream tonight. Just wanted to lay my heart out there. The first I'd say, I don't know, 7 minutes was just trying to get this orientation right so that I could do the 16:9. And Babu and Untapped, I really appreciate y'all coming here tonight. If anyone has any comments or questions, please drop it in the comments section below. And yeah, I'm just thrilled to be doing this. Unless y'all have any other questions, I'll probably call it soon. I just want to continue to warm myself up slowly, but I am at your disposal for the next little bit if any of you have any thoughts or questions that you'd like to throw my way. And I'll definitely be talking about road rage in the future. Oh boy, road rage is everywhere. I even actually thought about doing a YouTube channel where I just literally every day just take a clip and just show people how much I've almost gotten to different accidents over the years. So, yep, it is pretty brutal. But I am super thankful to live in a metropolis like Toronto. It's pretty cool overall. A lot of good things as well. All right. Unless there's something else y'all wanted to chat about tonight, I appreciate you guys being here. And you're the OGs here. I never understood what it was like to have those OGs, but Babu, Untapped, I think Sean, our boy Eddie from last time, throwing up a million stickers. Eddie's Cool Beans, I think he's from Malaysia maybe. It's amazing to be able to connect with people that way. All right, y'all, have yourself a wonderful evening. If you have any thoughts or comments or questions, drop it in the comment section below here. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a wonderful day, evening, morning, or night. God bless you guys. Peace.